Aaron Hernandez, leave a spot open at the dinner table in hell for Art Briles. Cleveland Browns, A++. New York Jets, go to hell. If you're patient, eventually your coach will be Art Briles. Ken Rosenthal had a story that A-Rod turned down the Romney Group and a chance to own the Marlins. Here's my story. Derek Jeter owning the Marlins over A-Rod's dead body. Speaking of dead bodies, some go to heaven, others go to hell. Art Briles will be one of those that ends up in hell.
Oh.
Steve Kerr looks like he's been to hell and back, as opposed to Art Briles, who's going to hell and never coming back. One-way ticket. My lacrosse team had a tournament over the weekend. Before one of the games, to get myself fired up, I was listening to Art Briles' anthem, Highway to Hell. Hey, Morris Claiborne, don't lie like that, because you know what happens to big liars. They go to hell, and when you get there, they have to say hello to Art Briles. Over the weekend, my wife told me to go to hell. I responded by asking, should I say hi to Art Briles when I get there? If you're looking for hell on earth, use a porta potty. There's a good chance when you walk into one, you'll see Art Briles. And when you do, tell him I said hello. Bill Cosby, you avoided prison. But you know what's impossible to avoid? Hell. And when you get there, make sure you say hello to Art Briles. Tim Tebow, just killing time to the big call up. The call up to heaven. A place Art Briles will never see, because he'll be spending his next life in hell. Dan, Art Briles has a new book. It's called Looking Up. I guess that's the only direction you can look when you're in hell. Looking Up.
That's a new book?
He's got a new book out. Yeah, Looking Up.
Who the hell's buying that?
I don't know.
Who is buying the Looking Up book of
demons
Art Briles?
Satan, demons. Seriously, Art Briles with a book, and it's The Road to Somewhere. I forget. Let me look it up real quick. Art Briles' book. It's a road to somewhere. It should just be The Road to Hell.
It should be the highway to hell.
Yeah, Art Briles' book. Oh, let me check it out. The Road is funny.
Who's gonna buy the Art Briles book?
I told you, demons and Satan. Here. It's Looking Up, my journey from tragedy to triumph, and it should just be my journey to hell. Game of Thrones fans, do us all a favor.
Yeah.
Watch your show and leave us the hell alone.
Yeah, shut up about the dragon lady.
Speaking of hell.
Yeah, shut up about her.
Briles.
She's got dragon. I'm sorry.
Let's try it again. One more time. We got a second here. But you're right, Dan. I'm glad you're with me on this.
You and your go to hell and take the dragon lady with you.
Yes. And speaking of hell, Briles, Jordan Spieth, Augusta Demons, gone. Speaking of demons, hell. Speaking of hell, Briles, Steve Biscotti, when discussing whether or not the Ravens will sign Colin Kaepernick, said pray for us. Little overdramatic. Pray for you. What the hell? Speaking of hell, Briles. Morton Anderson is in the Hall of Fame before Terrell Owens. How we doing? Speaking of hell, I imagine all they do in hell is talk about Game of Thrones. And one of those people talking about Game of Thrones in hell is Art Briles. Guy at the resort in Cancun who worked out at 9:50 p.m. on a Saturday night. Go to hell. Wow. And when you get there, work out with Art Briles and Zeke Elliott.
Wow.
Smoothie King, Angel Food Smoothie, Heavenly. If Art Briles had a smoothie named after him, it'd be called Devil's Food. And it would be the smoothie that they serve in hell. 32.5-point favorite Baylor Bears lost at home to Liberty. Art Briles must be pretty chilly because hell just froze over. Worst part about Irma was losing my AC during the South Florida summer. It was hotter than hell. Art Briles would have been right at home.
All right.
Yet,
Music?
Baylor is still winless. Don't beat yourself out, Matt. Baylor was only good for those few years because of a deal they made with the devil.
There it is.
And Art Briles is currently holding up his end of the bargain in hell.
There it is.
Jets, Jaguars, Niners, Cardinals, the doubleheader shown in hell. Speaking of hell, Art Briles.
There you go.
Safe to say, Chris Forrester has already had a hell of a week. Big deal. Art Briles is currently serving his 72nd consecutive hell of a week. Rose, there was more than enough room on that piece of driftwood
There was.
for you and Jack.
There was. You didn't have to let him die at the bottom of the sea. Spoiler alert.
In fact, you killed him.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Murderer.
After you peacefully passed away in your sleep
Murderer. Rose was a
of
murderer.
natural causes, you shouldn't have gone to the shiny Titanic in the sky. Instead,
Yep.
you should have
That's right.
been met by the clock
Yep.
at the top of the stairs
Agree.
by Art Briles
That's right. That's right.
in hell.
That's right. That's right. Totally right. That's how Titanic should have ended. It would have been awkward.
Yep,
Much different ending.
no doubt.
But Art Briles should have been at the end of Titanic, sentencing her to hell for killing her boyfriend.
Joe Thomas, on the injury report, it says you tore your triceps. But in reality, we all know the truth. They broke your soul. Speaking of no souls, Art Briles had a rough day having to watch the entirety of Titans-Browns in hell. Hey, Harvey Weinstein, go to hell. And when you get there, say hello to Art Briles.
You weren't trying at the end. You weren't trying. Yeah.
I need to get something off my chest when it comes to Titanic. This has been bothering me for some time. When Rose dies, she goes to that shiny Titanic in the sky and meets Jack at the top of the staircase. How furious do you think Rose's husband is waiting for her at the pearly gates?
Yeah.
This lady has a wild one-night stand with Jack. Then people forget she remarries and has a bunch of kids with another man. She was married for several decades to a good man. A good man she was apparently only using for sex. Rose shouldn't be going to the shiny Titanic in the sky. She should be going to a rust-covered wreck in hell where Art Briles is the cruise director. FAU, FIU, the first ever winner leaves town match. Kiffin, Davis, whether it's the Florida job or inevitable NCAA infractions, one coach isn't making it out of that stadium, which can only mean one thing. Art Briles is going to be watching this one very closely from hell.
Yes!
Hey, Charles Manson, when you get down there, make sure you say hello to Art Briles. Speaking of scams, art. Someone bought Leonardo da Vinci's portrait of Christ, Salvador Mundi, for over $450 million. Who the hell is Salvatore Mundi, and who the hell is Leonardo da Vinci? Speaking of art and hell, Art Briles. Jimbo Fisher. More like Jim Go Fisher. More like Jim Go to Hell Fisher.
Whoa.
Going to hell. That reminds me.
There we go.
Art Briles.
There we go.
Speaking of Tariq Cohen, he averaged 6.66 yards per carry. That's the kind of stat line Art Briles loves seeing when he's watching his football in hell.
No!
Heard Art Briles had a hell of a New Year's. Art Briles was supposed to give a presentation at the American Football Coaches Association convention tomorrow, but it was canceled on account of it being really tough to catch a flight out of hell.
Yeah!
You did. Had 10 shots of Fireball this weekend. That's the devil's drink. Had me feeling like hell. Art Briles must love it. The heel turn I pulled on Chris Sims on Sunday NFL Countdown, who's been nothing but good to me and our show, should send me straight to hell. And when I get there, I'll be sure to say hello to Art Briles. Mark Emmert, you've been reassigned and are no longer the chairman of the NCAA.
Uh-oh.
Enjoy your new role as chairman of the HELL. And when you get there, make sure you say hello to Art Briles. Tom Brady threw for 504 yards and lost to Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. I can tell you one thing, Art Briles must be pretty chilly because it appears hell has frozen over. Would have been so great if by accident, during the Paul Pierce ceremony, they played the Isaiah Thomas tribute video. That would have been a hell of a moment.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
there it is.
Speaking of hell,
Yes.
Art Briles.
Yes.
I know Mike feels terrible about how Dunk LeBatard went. Just know it's not nearly as bad as Art Briles feels having to watch it on repeat in hell. Sean Miller, bunkmates with Art Briles in hell. Collision course.
Oh, what? What?
Odell, if you want to be in a room with the devil's dandruff, you don't have to go to Spain. All you have to do is go to hell. And when you get there, make sure you say hello to Art Briles. Tom Izzo, welcome to the hot seat. If you're wondering why the seat's hot, it's not because of the major scandal surrounding your program or the upset at the hands of Syracuse. The seat's hot because Art Briles sat on it in hell.
Nice.
Mets pitcher Zach Wheeler had so much promise sent to the minors. Wheels down. Speaking of down, that's where hell is.
Oh,
down.
no, come on.
And speaking of hell, Art Briles.
God, you're getting
Dan?
lazier and lazier.
What a bitter flourish at the end there.
If Rick Riley pops out of nowhere this weekend to deliver one of those awful essays about the Masters, there's going to be hell to pay.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of hell,
there it is.
Art Briles.
Yeah, hell to pay. Yeah, there will be a hell to pay.
The guy threatening everyone, calling them selfish, threatening to call the cops because his car was boxed in at a park in Parkland. Do me a favor. Go to hell. That's where Art Briles lives.
All right.
Say hi for me.
All right.
If Sienna hires Rick Pitino, it will undoubtedly suck the life out of Albany County. Bats, mysterious disappearances, ghouls, NCAA infractions.
Ghouls.
It's going to be hell on earth. And speaking of hell, Art Briles would like to know if your football team is hiring.
Yeah.
Draft week is the absolute best. Anyone who disagrees can go to hell. So, Dan, when you get down there, make sure you say hi to Art Briles. Game 7 yesterday was win or go home for everyone but Tristan Thompson. I'm sure Tristan's home is pretty frosty. You know where it's not frosty, Dan? In hell.
Yeah.
And that's where Art Briles is.
Right.
In hell, the only thing you are allowed to watch is the Yadier Molina video. Art Briles is watching it right now. Here's my take on Paxton Lynch. There is no way a quarterback with that facial hair will ever be good. And let me tell you, if Paxton Lynch is ever productive as a pro quarterback, Art Briles better grab a parka because it'll be a cold day in hell. Josh Freeman, strange career. Want to know when you're approaching football hell? When you are buried on the quarterback depth chart of the Montreal Alouettes. Josh Freeman got off one stop before meeting Art Briles. Guy who is not a cop, who gives you a judgmental stare for going the wrong way in a parking lot. Go bleep yourself. And when you're done doing that, go to hell. And when you're done getting there, do me a favor. Make sure you say hello to Art Briles for me. To The Athletic, I respect what you're trying to do, but get the hell out of here with me paying for the written word. Speaking of hell, that's where Art Briles is.
Whoa.
Yeah, stuck it in there. Tom Brady told Oprah he loves Bill Belichick. Here's what I'm telling you. He lied to Oprah. And you know what happens to an unrepentant, liars who mislead Oprah.
An unrepentant liar who misleads Oprah, they go to hell where they can say hello to Art Briles for you.
Wow, spoiler alert. They go to hell and say hi to Art Briles for me. The guy on a small Delta plane from North Carolina to New York who decided it was a good time to chat up the lady next to him about AI, VR, and how the robots will eventually take over. Do me a favor, you and your robots, go to hell. And when you get there, make sure you say hello to Art Briles. To the lady who walked through the crowd of people waiting to board a plane, screaming, "Excuse me, are you a Mosaic member?" at 7 a.m. Do me a favor. You and your Mosaic membership take flight number 666 nonstop to hell. And when you get there, make sure you say hi to Art Briles for me. When did Southwest Airlines decide it would be a good idea to hire comedians as flight attendants? Do me a favor, get through the oxygen masks and how to blow up your life vest and shut the hell up. Speaking of hell, divert the plane's course. Excuse me.
That's a fine.
Yeah, it is. Divert the plane's course and go straight there on flight 666. And when you arrive, say hi to Art for me. Golf, final round, Open Championship, heaven, a place Art Briles will never know about because he lives in hell. Trevor Hoffman, take notes. Art Briles is considering taking a job in Italy to revive his coaching career. I guess the Italian stamp looks better on a passport than his stamp from hell.
Wow.
Urban Meyer saying his medication affects his memory a few years removed from reciting every single play he called in a national championship game. Urban, the Stugotz is strong in you. Urban, for 3 games, you can get top bunk when you room with Art Briles in hell.
Oh!
Playing for the Jets is football hell. Not to be confused with the real hell, which is where Art Briles will eventually reside. Monday Night Football doubleheader tonight. Feel like I'm going to die and go to heaven tonight. I'll make sure I say hello to Gary Busey when I get there.
All right.
This Saturday, Urban Meyer will be standing on the sidelines, coaching the Ohio State Buckeyes. Jim Tressel was fired for tattoos. How we doing? Speaking of hell, Art Briles. LeBron James, possibly shadow owning an agency that represents NBA players while being the best player in the NBA. How we doing? I'm no Ted Wells, but that seems like a conflict of interest.
That's crazy.
And hell seems like an awful place to live. Just ask Art Briles. Can someone please tell me how the hell Michael Bennett is allowed to play football with his uniform like that and no shoulder pads? Speaking of hell, Briles. Anyway, that's the game that plays on a loop in heaven. Gary Busey, when you get there, enjoy.